Have you ever wondered, why did I marry this person, and not someone else? Was it love? Was it coincidence? Or was it destiny? In Buddhism and Zen, marriage is not merely a choice of the heart, it is the unfolding of karma, the invisible threads woven through our past lives, binding soul to soul. In today's reflection we'll explore, why do two people come together in marriage? Is love the only reason? When is it time to hold on, and when is it time to let go? From a Buddhist perspective, marriage is not just attachment, it's an opportunity to awaken, to see ourselves through another, and to walk the path toward liberation. Let's take a mindful breath, and begin. Marriage is not random, it's karmic. Have you ever wondered, why did I meet that person? Fall in love with that person? End up marrying that person? Is it because they're a good match for me? Because they treat me well? Or maybe, just fate? Sounds romantic, right? But from a Buddhist perspective, the fact that two people meet, fall in love, and get married, it's not random at all. It's karma. Karma here doesn't mean good or bad. Karma simply means the result of causes and conditions, from this life, or even from many lives before. Some couples meet, fall in love, get married, and live happily ever after. Others meet, fall in love too, but after marriage they suffer. Over and over again. And they wonder, did I marry the wrong person? But really, it's not about right or wrong, it's about the karma between the two of you. The person you marry is someone you're either paying a debt to, receiving a debt from, or someone with whom you have unfinished business. It could be a love that wasn't fulfilled in a past life. It could be a debt of kindness, or a wound of resentment. Or maybe, this person is here to help you grow, to teach you a deep life lesson no one else could. So if you're in a relationship that feels difficult, don't rush to blame yourself. And don't rush to blame your partner either. Try to see the karmic thread the two of you are carrying, and how you might both transform it. Because sometimes, the person who hurts you the most is the one who shares the deepest karmic tie with you. And sometimes, only by working through that karma, can you discover what real love is. Let me know if you'd like me to continue the next sections in this tone too. I can also shift it towards something more spiritual, poetic, or humorous, whatever suits your style best. Marriage is a mirror that reflects your inner self. Have you ever noticed that your spouse can sometimes feel like a mirror? Not just one that shows your appearance, but one that reflects your inner world. There are moments when they seem difficult, impatient, selfish, or distant. And you might find yourself thinking, why did I end up with someone like this? But pause for a second, and ask yourself, is it possible that I, too, am being impatient, selfish, or disconnected, either with them or even with myself? Marriage is where our inner self is revealed most clearly. When we're in love, we all tend to show our best sides. But once we begin living together, everything becomes more raw, more real. And your partner becomes a mirror, reflecting what you may not yet see in yourself. If you're quick to anger because they don't understand you, maybe you haven't fully understood yourself. If you feel they're distant, maybe you've been neglecting your own emotional needs. If you think they're controlling, perhaps you're feeling insecure deep down. Once you start viewing marriage as a mirror, you stop blaming your partner. Instead, you begin to observe yourself, listen inward, and grow through love. Marriage is no longer about waiting for the other to change. It becomes a journey where both people heal and grow together. They're not your enemy. They are a mirror, brought to you by karmic connection. to help you see clearly the parts of yourself that still need care, healing, and understanding. And when you shift something within yourself, the mirror reflects something new. That's when marriage stops being a battlefield and becomes a beautiful partnership. Would you like me to continue with the next section, how to transform karma in marriage? In the same tone? Love is not necessarily the reason for marriage. When we think of marriage, we often picture romantic love, butterflies in your stomach, holding hands, laughing together, and all those beautiful moments. But here's the truth, love is not always the main reason we marry. In fact, many marriages happen for reasons beyond love. Sometimes, it's because of karma, sometimes it's because of unresolved emotions or unfinished business that we need to work through. For instance, have you ever noticed how some couples seem to be drawn to each other in a way that doesn't quite make sense? It's as if they've known each other forever, or, on the flip side, you can't explain why you're so attracted to someone, even when everything inside you is saying, this doesn't feel right. Why does that happen? It's because karma is at play, not in the romantic sense, but in the deep, spiritual sense. There might be a lesson you need to learn. There might be emotional debts you need to repay. Or maybe, it's an opportunity for both of you to heal something together. Love might be present, yes, but it's often not the reason for the union. In fact, love in its purest sense often arrives after the lessons are learned, after the growth happens, and after the healing takes place. So instead of asking, why did I marry this person? You might want to ask, what lessons am I meant to learn from this relationship? Because in the end, love can evolve and grow as we both learn to understand each other. But sometimes, marriage is a tool for transformation, not just a place for passion. The moment of meeting is also determined by karma. Have you ever wondered why you meet certain people at certain times in your life? Why does it seem like you cross paths with some individuals at just the right moment? Or sometimes at the worst possible time? It might feel like a coincidence, but in reality, the moment you meet someone is also determined by karma. You see, we don't just randomly meet people. There's always something deeper at play, some unfinished business from past lives, or a karmic lesson that needs to be learned. Maybe you met your spouse at a time when you were both ready to work through something important together. Maybe you met your best friend when you were both in need of healing, or at a time when you were open to learning from each other. Karma is not just about past actions, it's also about timing. The connections you make are not accidents. Each relationship, whether romantic, familial, or friendship, is like a key unlocking something that was meant to unfold. For example, you might meet someone who mirrors your wounds, and through the relationship, you both learn how to heal them. Or maybe you meet someone who brings out the best in you, helping you grow into the person you were always meant to be. On the other hand, there are those difficult encounters where you feel like you clash at every turn, and those, too, are often rooted in past karma, where there's something to resolve, forgive, or understand. Think about it this way. What if the universe is not just arranging these meetings for fun? What if each encounter, each person, is placed in your life at the exact right moment to guide you toward growth and resolution? It might feel like a surprise, but trust that the timing is not random. So, instead of seeing a difficult or surprising relationship as a mistake, try thinking of it as a part of your karmic journey. Every person you meet at every point in your life is an opportunity to learn, to transform, and to heal. What do you think? Can you look back and see how the people you've met, even the ones who caused you difficulty, have contributed to your growth? Let me know if you'd like to explore more about the lessons and wisdom we gain from these karmic connections. Marriage is for awakening, not for satisfaction. When we think about marriage, many of us might picture romance, companionship, or the idea of finding someone who completes us. Society often paints a picture of marriage as the ultimate destination, where happiness and fulfillment come naturally once we find the right partner. But in Buddhist and Zen teachings, the true purpose of marriage goes beyond personal satisfaction. Marriage, in its deepest sense, is not about comfort or pleasure, it's about awakening. At first glance, this might sound surprising. After all, we tend to associate marriage with love, companionship, and emotional fulfillment. However, what if I told you that the purpose of a spiritual partnership is much greater than just meeting our personal needs? What if the real goal of marriage is to awaken us? In Zen and Buddhist philosophy, marriage is seen as a mirror that reflects not only our external experiences but also our inner world. When we marry, we don't just marry a person, we also marry our own unhealed wounds, unresolved patterns, and unconscious attachments. In a healthy marriage, our partner's presence often brings these unconscious aspects to the surface, helping us to confront them, grow through them, and, ultimately, awaken to a higher level of consciousness. Instead of seeking comfort, security, or a perfect match, the key is to approach marriage as a path of self-discovery. Your spouse or partner is not just someone to meet your needs, they are your mirror, your teacher, and in many ways your spiritual guide. Through the challenges, the joys, and even the conflicts, your partner is helping you become more conscious of yourself and your deeper nature. Awakening through marriage doesn't always come in a pretty or peaceful way. In fact, sometimes it comes through conflict, through struggle, or through moments of pain. But remember, those moments are opportunities to shed old layers and get closer to your true self. For example, a partner might trigger your insecurities or bring up your past wounds. Instead of reacting with anger, fear, or resentment, use that moment to ask yourself, what part of me is being triggered here? What is this revealing about my inner world? True love in marriage isn't about pleasing the other person or meeting their every need. It's about supporting each other's spiritual growth. This means facing the uncomfortable truths about ourselves and each other, letting go of illusions, and being willing to transform together. So, the next time you face a challenge in your relationship, rather than seeing it as a setback or a problem to fix, try reframing it as an opportunity for awakening. This is the deeper purpose of marriage, to awaken to who we truly are, beyond the surface of desires and attachments. It's about growth, consciousness, and ultimately liberation from the ego's grip. Are you ready to see your marriage as a path of awakening, rather than simply seeking fulfillment? Let me know your thoughts and how you view your own relationship journey. Marriage can be a debt of gratitude. In the journey of life, there are many things we cannot fully understand or explain: why we are drawn to certain people, why we feel inexplicably connected to someone, or why we sometimes find ourselves in relationships that seem to have a deeper, unspoken meaning. One such meaning, often overlooked, is that marriage can sometimes be a debt of gratitude, an unseen bond formed by acts of kindness, protection, or sacrifice in past lives. In Buddhist and Zen teachings, the concept of karma isn't just about actions and consequences, it's also deeply tied to gratitude. There are times when we marry not out of romantic love or attraction, but because our souls recognize a debt of love, protection, or kindness that was given to us in another life. Imagine this scenario: perhaps in a past life, someone once offered you shelter when you were vulnerable, saved you when you were in danger, or showed you compassion during a time of hardship. In this life, your soul may feel an invisible pull toward that person, not out of desire, but because of the debt of gratitude you owe them. This gratitude isn't always recognized by the conscious mind, but it can influence who we marry and why we feel so deeply connected to certain individuals. In these cases, marriage becomes a way to repay that debt, not in a transactional sense, but in a spiritual one. It's about honoring the kindness and love that were once given to us, even if we don't remember the details of that past life. The soul recognizes that the time has come to give back, to love in return, not out of need, but out of deep, soulful gratitude. What does this mean for marriage? Understanding marriage as a debt of gratitude changes our perspective on relationships. Instead of seeing marriage solely as a romantic union or a personal desire for fulfillment, we begin to view it as an opportunity to complete unfinished business, not just with the person we marry, but with ourselves and our past experiences. This doesn't mean that marriage in these cases is free from challenges or conflicts. In fact, the emotional weight of repaying a debt can sometimes feel heavy, but the key is to approach the relationship with consciousness. When you recognize that your partner may have been someone who played a profound role in your soul's journey, the challenges of the relationship can take on new meaning. Gratitude through marriage is not about romantic idealization. It's about acknowledging the soul connection and the responsibility we carry for the love and kindness received in previous lifetimes. Through this lens, every interaction, every conflict, and every moment of care can be seen as a way to honor and repay that debt, not with expectations, but with the simple truth of offering what was once given. So, what can we learn from this? Marriage as a debt of gratitude teaches us that true love in marriage isn't about fulfillment of personal desires. It's about giving back, offering unconditional love, compassion, and understanding, even when it's not easy. It's about honoring the past and recognizing that we are part of a larger cycle of relationships that transcend time and space. How do you perceive your relationships? As opportunities for growth, love, and awakening, or as debts of gratitude? Reflecting on this may help us approach marriage from a place of humility, love, and a deeper understanding of the connections that bind us across lifetimes. Not all marriages need to be maintained. Marriage is often seen as a lifelong commitment, something that should be preserved and maintained through thick and thin. In many cultures and societies, there's a belief that no matter the challenges, a marriage must be preserved, because it's seen as an unbreakable bond, often tied to the idea of forever. But what if we reconsidered this? What if we understood that not all marriages are meant to last forever, and sometimes, letting go is the most loving choice for both individuals? In Buddhist teachings, we are encouraged to see relationships and attachments not as permanent, but as impermanent, a part of the natural flow of life. Marriage, like everything else, may not always be part of this flow. Some marriages are meant to last, while others are meant to teach us important life lessons and help us grow in ways we never expected. The key is understanding when to hold on and when to let go. The impermanence of marriage. Marriage, just like any other relationship, is not a static entity. It's a living, evolving process. Sometimes, two people may come together because they share a common purpose, or they are drawn to each other because they have lessons to learn. However, as people grow, change, and evolve, they might find that the marriage no longer serves its original purpose. Not every marriage is meant to be forever, and accepting this can be liberating. We don't always need to hold on to relationships out of fear of failure or societal pressure. Sometimes it's about recognizing that staying in a relationship for the wrong reasons, like fear of being alone, societal expectations, or guilt, can do more harm than good. True love is not about sacrificing your well-being or suppressing your growth. It's about supporting each other's individual journeys and knowing when your paths no longer align. When to let go. So, how do you know when it's time to let go? The decision to end a marriage is never easy. It involves deep reflection, understanding, and compassion. But there are signs that can guide us, such as lack of growth. If the marriage has become stagnant and there's no opportunity for personal growth or mutual evolution, it might be time to reassess. Relationships should foster growth, not hinder it. Toxicity. If the relationship has become toxic, where there is consistent harm or emotional damage, staying in it out of obligation can be detrimental. Self-love and self-care sometimes mean walking away from a harmful relationship. Emotional disconnection. If both partners no longer feel emotionally connected or aligned with each other's values, the marriage may have run its course. True partnership requires mutual understanding and connection. Desire for different futures. If two people have radically different life goals or dreams, staying in the marriage might be more about fear of change than about fulfilling the deeper purpose of the union. The courage to move on. Letting go of a marriage doesn't mean failing or giving up. It's an act of courage. It requires the strength to admit that, although two people may have once shared love and dreams, sometimes those things fade, and the relationship no longer serves either person's growth or happiness. Recognizing that can be the first step toward greater peace, freedom, and self-realization. This also doesn't mean that marriage is something to be taken lightly or entered into without care. But it does acknowledge that life is impermanent, and relationships are part of that impermanence. Some marriages will last a lifetime, and some may only last for a chapter in our lives. Both are valid experiences. Embracing impermanence in relationships. Once we accept that impermanence is a natural part of relationships, it becomes easier to appreciate each phase of a marriage. If you find that your marriage has reached a natural end, it's important to honor that chapter with gratitude and love, even if it's time to part ways. Not all marriages are meant to last forever, and that's okay. What matters is how we honor them during their time, how we learn from them, and how we evolve as individuals. Embracing this truth can bring a deeper understanding of what it means to love fully, not out of obligation or fear, but out of freedom and growth. So, have you ever experienced a relationship or marriage where you had to let go? How did it shape you or help you grow? It's worth reflecting on how we can embrace the impermanence of life with love, wisdom, and acceptance. Conscious marriage versus karmic marriage. Marriage is often viewed as a union between two people based on love, compatibility, and mutual respect. But in a deeper spiritual context, marriage can take on two different forms: conscious marriage and karmic marriage. These two types of unions can shape how we experience our relationships and the lessons we learn from them. Conscious marriage. A conscious marriage is one where both individuals enter the union with full awareness and intention. It's a relationship that goes beyond just attraction or emotional connection. Instead, it's a partnership rooted in personal growth, mutual respect, and a shared vision for the future. In a conscious marriage, both partners are committed to not just supporting each other but also uplifting one another's personal and spiritual journeys. Key aspects of conscious marriage include self-awareness. Both partners are aware of their individual needs, desires, and shortcomings. They understand themselves and bring this self-awareness into the relationship. Communication. Open, honest, and transparent communication is at the core of a conscious marriage. Both partners can express their thoughts, feelings, and concerns without fear of judgment. Growth-focused. A conscious marriage is one where both individuals are committed to growing together, whether that's through emotional, intellectual, or spiritual development. They encourage each other to become better versions of themselves. Mutual respect and understanding. Partners in a conscious marriage respect each other's boundaries, values, and dreams. They are not looking to control or change one another but to support each other as they grow individually and as a couple. Karmic marriage. On the other hand, a karmic marriage is influenced by the karmic forces at play between two individuals. It's a union that is often the result of unresolved issues or unhealed wounds from past lifetimes. In a karmic marriage, the connection between the partners is predetermined by past actions, debts, and unresolved emotional baggage. While it might feel intense or fated, the relationship is often full of conflict, tension, and struggles that are meant to offer a chance to heal and break old karmic patterns. Key aspects of karmic marriage include unresolved past karma. The bond between partners in a karmic marriage is often a result of unfinished business from previous lifetimes. There may be deep emotional ties or unresolved conflicts that resurface in this life. Emotional turbulence. Karmic marriages often bring intense emotional highs and lows. There may be deep love or strong attraction, but this is often coupled with intense conflict, manipulation, or unhealthy patterns. Cycle of repetition. These relationships may feel like they are stuck in a repeating cycle, where the same arguments or problems surface over and over again. This is often because the partners are meant to resolve unresolved karmic issues, which can take time and effort. Painful lessons. A karmic marriage might feel fated, but it's often through pain and struggle that both individuals are pushed to face their emotional wounds, grow, and heal. This marriage becomes a spiritual lesson, though difficult, it's necessary for personal and spiritual growth. The difference between conscious and karmic marriage. The main difference between a conscious marriage and a karmic marriage lies in intent and awareness. In a conscious marriage, both partners actively choose to be together, and they are committed to building a life that is balanced, respectful, and nurturing. The relationship is consciously chosen and maintained through mindful actions. In a karmic marriage, the union often feels like a fate or a cycle that is out of control. The partners may feel pulled together by past unresolved issues, and while the relationship may teach important lessons, it is often full of emotional chaos, and the focus isn't on growth but on resolving past karma. How do you know which one you're in? Sometimes, it's not easy to differentiate between a conscious marriage and a karmic marriage, especially when emotions run high. But there are signs that can help you discern which type of marriage you're experiencing. If the relationship is based on deep mutual respect, growth, and understanding with both partners committed to working on themselves and their shared future, it may be a conscious marriage. If the relationship feels like a repeating cycle of unresolved issues, emotional chaos, or drama, it might be a karmic marriage. This doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad relationship, but it does indicate that there are deeper lessons and karmic patterns at play. If the relationship encourages healing and growth in a positive way, it's likely to be a conscious marriage. If it seems to be centered around conflict and emotional upheaval, it's more likely karmic. What to do if you're in a karmic marriage? If you find yourself in a karmic marriage, the most important thing is to acknowledge the karmic lessons that may be at play. Instead of resisting or blaming your partner, try to focus on healing the emotional wounds that are surfacing. Self-awareness, personal healing, and working through unresolved emotions are key to breaking the karmic cycle and moving towards peace. Sometimes, leaving a karmic relationship may be necessary to truly heal. However, even if you choose to stay, the relationship can still offer valuable lessons that can contribute to spiritual growth. Conclusion: choosing consciousness over karma. In the end, the choice is yours. Do you want to create a conscious marriage, one where both you and your partner are fully present and committed to mutual growth? Or are you in a relationship driven by unresolved karmic forces, where healing is required before true harmony can be achieved? By recognizing the difference between conscious and karmic marriage, we can make better choices, heal past wounds, and create relationships that serve our spiritual evolution. Conscious marriages are built on awareness, love, and mutual respect, while karmic marriages offer lessons through struggle and challenge. Understanding the nature of your relationship can help you approach it with the right mindset and give you the clarity to make empowered decisions moving forward. If the lesson isn't learned, karma will repeat itself. In the Buddhist view of life, everything is interconnected by the law of karma. The actions, choices, and intentions we make today will inevitably affect our future. Relationships, especially marriages, are no exception to this law. The idea that if we don't learn our lessons, karma will repeat itself is a fundamental truth that plays out in many people's lives. Whether we are aware of it or not, if we have unresolved karmic debts, they will continue to show up in our relationships until we learn and evolve from them. The cycle of unlearned lessons. The truth is, karma is like a mirror, reflecting back to us the lessons we need to learn. In a relationship, especially a marriage, if there are unresolved issues, patterns of behavior, or emotional wounds that we haven't dealt with, they will keep repeating themselves. These patterns might show up in different ways, through arguments, misunderstandings, emotional turmoil, or toxic dynamics. However, if we don't take the time to understand these patterns and heal the root causes, we will continue to face them until we break the cycle. Why does karma repeat? Unhealed emotional wounds. When we carry emotional pain from past relationships or even past lives, we unknowingly attract similar experiences in future relationships. If we haven't healed the emotional wounds, the same challenges will continue to arise. For instance, if we've been hurt by betrayal in one relationship, we may attract another partner who mirrors that same betrayal until we heal the trust issues that caused the pain in the first place. Unresolved behavioral patterns. Sometimes, we carry negative behavioral patterns that have been developed over time, such as fear of intimacy, codependency, or poor communication skills. These patterns will keep showing up in our relationships until we make a conscious effort to change. If we don't, we'll continue to find ourselves in relationships where the same dynamics play out. Karmic debts. According to the law of karma, we may have unfinished business from past lives that needs to be resolved. These unresolved debts can carry over into this lifetime, manifesting as challenges or conflicts in relationships. Until the debt is paid, the karmic cycle will continue to repeat itself. This can create a sense of fate or inevitability in our relationships, like we're caught in a cycle we can't escape from. Lessons we are meant to learn. The universe has a way of bringing us into situations where we are meant to grow spiritually and emotionally. If we don't understand the lesson or avoid facing it, the same situations will keep appearing in different forms or with different people, until we get the message. For example, if we haven't learned to set boundaries, we may keep attracting relationships where we feel violated or unheard. How to break the cycle. The key to breaking the cycle of repeated karma is awareness and personal growth. Here's how we can stop karma from repeating itself in our relationships. Self-reflection. The first step to breaking any cycle is to become aware of it. Take the time to reflect on your past relationships. What patterns keep showing up? What unresolved issues are you carrying with you? By identifying these patterns, you can understand where the karmic lesson lies and begin working on it. Healing emotional wounds. Emotional wounds, if left unhealed, will continue to affect your relationships. Inner healing is key to breaking the cycle. This could involve forgiveness, self-compassion, or working with a therapist or spiritual guide to help you heal from past traumas. Changing negative patterns. Once you've identified harmful patterns in your behavior, it's time to consciously work on changing them. This might mean learning healthier communication skills, setting better boundaries, or addressing issues like codependency or fear of intimacy. The goal is to break free from the patterns that keep repeating themselves. Addressing karmic debts. If you believe that you are facing karmic debts, it can be helpful to meditate on the idea of forgiveness and letting go. By acknowledging and accepting the karmic lesson, you can begin to clear the debt and move forward. Some people even perform spiritual practices, such as prayers, mantras, or acts of kindness, to help balance their karmic energy. Learning the lesson. Sometimes, it's not until we fully understand the lesson that the cycle will end. Ask yourself, what is this relationship teaching me? Is it teaching you patience, self-love, or the importance of letting go? Embrace the lesson, and the universe will shift, allowing the cycle to end. The power of awareness. One of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is the awareness of our own patterns and the courage to break free from them. If we are conscious of the lessons our relationships are teaching us, we can grow from them, rather than repeating them. Every time a karmic situation arises, it presents an opportunity to heal and evolve. By recognizing the lesson, healing the wound, and shifting the behavior, we can free ourselves from the chains of repeating karma. When karma breaks. When we've truly learned our karmic lesson, the cycle will end, and we will no longer find ourselves in the same kind of relationship, making the same mistakes, or facing the same challenges. Relationships will start to feel more harmonious, as we no longer attract what doesn't serve our growth. We become more aware of the love we truly deserve, and we begin to attract healthier, more conscious connections that are aligned with our true purpose. Conclusion. Letting go of the karmic cycle. To break free from the repeating patterns of karma, we must be willing to learn the lessons life brings. We cannot change the past, but we have the power to shift our present and future by addressing the unresolved issues, emotional wounds, and karmic debts that are keeping us stuck. By embracing self-awareness, healing, and growth, we can free ourselves from the cycles of karma, creating a future where our relationships are aligned with our highest potential. So ask yourself, what lesson am I meant to learn from this relationship? And once you identify it, take the steps to heal, grow, and break the karmic cycle. The power is in your hands. Forgiveness and letting go, the end of the karmic cycle. In the teachings of Buddhism and many other spiritual traditions, forgiveness and letting go are two of the most powerful tools to release us from the chains of negative karma. Holding on to resentment, anger, or grudges keeps us tied to past experiences and prevents us from moving forward. Forgiveness is not just a gift to others, it is a gift to ourselves. It allows us to heal, grow, and ultimately free ourselves from the cyclical nature of karma. Why is forgiveness so powerful? Forgiveness can be difficult, especially when we've been hurt deeply, but it is an essential part of spiritual and emotional healing. It is through the act of forgiving, not for the sake of the person who wronged us, but for our own sake, that we can break free from the emotional and energetic attachments to the past. Forgiveness allows us to release the emotional charge associated with past experiences, which might otherwise keep us stuck in a perpetual cycle of pain and resentment. When we forgive, we no longer carry the weight of that grudge or anger, which in turn stops that negative karma from continuing to shape our future. The role of letting go and breaking the karmic cycle. To let go means to release any attachment to the past, whether that be hurtful experiences, regrets, or negative emotions. When we hold on to these things, they act like anchors, preventing us from moving forward in our spiritual journey and perpetuating unresolved karma. By letting go of attachments, we free ourselves from the need to relive past experiences or repeat old patterns. In relationships, especially those with deep emotional wounds, letting go is crucial for healing. Releasing attachment to the pain, to the past wrongs, and to the expectation of others' apologies is a form of liberation. The more we cling to these things, the more we tie ourselves to the karmic cycle. Forgiveness and letting go, two sides of the same coin. Forgiveness and letting go are interconnected. One cannot truly happen without the other. To forgive, we must be willing to let go of the anger, the hurt, and the story we've been telling ourselves about the wrongs done to us. To let go, we must be willing to forgive ourselves and others for the pain we've caused or received. Both of these acts are rooted in love and compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves. It's important to remember that forgiving doesn't mean excusing someone's behavior or denying the pain we've experienced. Instead, it means choosing to no longer allow that pain to control our present and future. How forgiveness breaks the cycle of karma. Releases emotional burdens. When we carry grudges, we carry emotional baggage that affects every aspect of our lives. These unresolved emotions are often tied to karmic patterns. They are energetic weights that keep us stuck in cycles of resentment or pain. By forgiving, we release those burdens, thus allowing the karma associated with them to dissolve. Transforms negative energy. Holding on to negative emotions like anger or hatred creates a toxic energetic environment that can influence our future relationships and experiences. Forgiveness transforms this energy into something positive and healing, thus breaking the cycle of negative karma. Allows us to move forward. When we choose to forgive, we are no longer controlled by the past. We free ourselves to move forward with clarity and peace, unburdened by the weight of unresolved emotional ties. This helps us create new, healthier karmic patterns and open ourselves up to more loving and positive experiences. Heals the heart and mind. The act of forgiveness is deeply healing. It softens the heart and clears the mind of negative thought patterns, creating space for compassion, understanding, and wisdom. This shift in consciousness allows us to break free from the limitations of past karma and step into a more elevated state of being. Practical steps to forgiveness and letting go. Acknowledge your pain. Before forgiveness can happen, you need to fully acknowledge the hurt and pain you've experienced. This means allowing yourself to feel the emotions, whether they be anger, sadness, or disappointment, without judgment. Only through this honest self-awareness can true healing begin. Understand the source of your anger. Take time to reflect on why you're holding on to resentment or anger. Is it tied to unresolved karma or past wounds? Understanding the source of your emotions can help you gain insight into why they're so persistent, allowing you to approach the situation with more awareness and compassion. Forgive for yourself. Remember, forgiveness is for your own healing, not for the person who wronged you. By forgiving, you are choosing to free yourself from the past and move forward with peace. This doesn't mean you condone the behavior. It simply means you are no longer letting it control your life. Let go of attachment to the past. Letting go is a conscious decision to release any attachment to past experiences or outcomes. This might involve changing your story, no longer identifying yourself with past hurt, and choosing to live in the present moment. Practice mindfulness and meditation to help cultivate this sense of release. Practice compassion. Lastly, cultivate compassion for both yourself and others. Understand that everyone, including yourself, is on their own journey. Mistakes are made, but they don't define us. By approaching forgiveness with compassion, we open ourselves to healing and growth. The freedom of forgiveness. When we forgive and let go, we liberate ourselves from the karmic cycles that bind us. We stop repeating the same patterns and we open up space for new opportunities and positive karma. Forgiveness and letting go are acts of courage and strength. They require us to release control over situations and people, allowing us to trust in the natural flow of life. Through these acts, we break free from the chains of past mistakes and create a new reality built on healing, growth, and love. Conclusion. The end of karma through forgiveness and letting go. Forgiveness and letting go are essential steps in ending the karmic cycle. By releasing the emotional burdens of past pain, we free ourselves to live in the present, unburdened by old patterns and attachments. It is through these acts of spiritual maturity that we can heal, grow, and break free from the cycles of karma, creating a life filled with peace, love, and freedom. Conclusion. Marriage is not the destination, it's the path. In the journey of life, we often think of marriage as the final destination, the endpoint that signifies success or fulfillment. However, in the Buddhist perspective, marriage is not a goal to be reached but rather a path to be walked. It's not about finding a perfect partner or achieving the ideal relationship, but about the continuous process of growth, learning, and spiritual development that happens within the relationship. Marriage as a journey of self-discovery. Marriage is not just a union of two people. It is a partnership that provides the opportunity for profound self-discovery. It's a space where both partners can learn about themselves, their desires, their fears, and their limitations. Through this journey, they are given a chance to heal past wounds, transform negative patterns, and cultivate compassion and understanding. As we walk this path, we are confronted with challenges, but these challenges are not obstacles, they are opportunities for growth. The disagreements, the differences in opinions, and the moments of conflict are all part of the process of learning how to navigate and understand ourselves and each other. The path of marriage is the place where we can explore our deepest vulnerabilities and, in doing so, strengthen our character and elevate our consciousness. Marriage as a mirror of the soul. Just as a mirror reflects our physical appearance, marriage reflects our inner state. It brings out our strengths, but also our weaknesses, our insecurities, and our unhealed wounds. In this way, marriage serves as a spiritual practice, a tool that forces us to confront our shadow selves and work towards healing and transformation. The relationship is not about finding someone who completes us, but about recognizing that the journey of healing and growth is an ongoing process for both individuals. The continuous nature of marriage. In the same way that life itself is a continuous journey, so too is marriage. There is no perfect point at which we can say, "Now I have arrived." Instead, marriage is an ongoing process of mutual evolution, where both partners are continually evolving. The depth of the relationship grows as both individuals continue to transform and adapt, learning how to love, communicate, and support each other in ways that foster growth for both individuals. This path does not have a fixed destination but offers endless opportunities to grow in love, compassion, and wisdom. The beauty of marriage lies not in a final, perfected state but in the continuous unfolding of each person's journey alongside the other. The spiritual path of marriage. Marriage, when viewed as a spiritual path, becomes more than just a contractual agreement between two people. It becomes a shared spiritual journey that leads both individuals towards greater peace and understanding. It's about supporting each other's spiritual development and holding space for growth, even in the face of challenges. In this way, marriage is a sacred commitment, not just to another person, but to the ongoing evolution of each individual. The path is long, but every step is meaningful and provides a deeper understanding of self and other. Every challenge faced is an opportunity to practice patience, forgiveness, and compassion, not only towards each other but also towards oneself. The purpose of marriage, growth and service. The true purpose of marriage is not to achieve personal gratification or perfection but to serve as a vehicle for spiritual growth. It is through service to each other, the willingness to be vulnerable, and the commitment to mutual transformation that the most profound spiritual lessons arise. By choosing to walk this path with someone else, we are given the opportunity to serve, love, and grow in ways that we would not have experienced on our own. Conclusion. The ongoing path. Ultimately, marriage is not a destination that can be reached and completed. It is a path, a continuous journey of self-awareness, growth, and spiritual evolution. The destination is not a fixed point but a dynamic and evolving state, where both individuals are constantly learning and evolving together. As we embark on this path, it is essential to remember that the journey is not about perfection or arriving at some ideal end state, but about the growth, healing, and love that emerge as we walk it together. Through the practice of mindfulness, compassion, and mutual support, marriage becomes a sacred path, filled with lessons, opportunities, and experiences that deepen our connection to each other and to ourselves. The key is to embrace the journey, knowing that it's in the walking of the path, not the destination, where true fulfillment lies.